Right, hey everybody, let's get started for today. Hope everyone's having a great Wednesday today. Mine's been pretty nice. It's been a lot cooler here because we got quite a bit of rain, so definitely not complaining about that. But let's go ahead and get started. So I think, alright, so we had done a lot of work on passing statistics to Lua and also Lua requesting statistics. So we're going to work a bit more on that. Hey Chocopix, good to see you tonight. How are you doing? So I'm just going to press play and make sure everything is still working. Okay, yeah, so it gets all the way to, yeah, it's trying to send the actions to the server because it thinks that we've sorted them. What is this? Oh, that's not gonna take me to the code, is it? Oh, okay, this has to do with the server. I guess I accidentally left that debug line in. Play except, yeah, right here. We're not gonna have to worry about that for now, but I'm just gonna, so this line doesn't confuse me, I'll go ahead and comment that out. So yeah, we can see that the Lua script actually finished all in one frame. This frame 444, we first call the sort function, and then here, anything that's prefixed with Lua is actually inside the Lua script. So we can see here that it's requesting speed for the gold monster. And that is this print right here. And then the script registers that. And then Lua yields, which is right here. And then it returns control to C#. And that's when C# goes and tries to finds what stats are ready to go and not. So right now it finishes in one frame because it doesn't actually have to request any stats because everything is known right at the beginning. So in order to test this, since I'm not actually playing with another player, I'm gonna probably have to do something a little hacky to get some information to the unknown. I'm trying to think about what the best way to do this would be. I guess, let's see. I don't want to do anything too complicated for now. So here is where we, I guess I'll close all about this to clean up our open files up there. So here's where we actually generate the starting state for, oh wait, no, this isn't it actually. Where is it? On team build, isn't it? Yeah, the testing defaults creator. And so right now, yeah, we just get the monster stats from the monster prototype itself. But what about if we pretend that any monster from an AI player, the statistics, excuse me, start out as unknown? Yeah, this won't really work for much more complicated setups because For AI players, we actually have to choose their action, and that's impossible if we don't know their statistics in some cases, but I think it will work for now. So how should I do this? Okay, so yeah, for now it just... Okay, I guess this is how I'll do it. If monster dot prototype is 1, which is I think the silver monster. Yeah, if I do that, then I'll just set the statistic to be unknown. And then when the game, when we issue the request for the statistic, the game can actually look into the corresponding entry in the battle log for that monster and get the real value out. This will just be for testing, of course. I better write a to-do here so I don't accidentally leave it in. Remove unknown. Testing code. And what's this class called? So team build, alright. So now I think when we play, the game will actually soft lock because we don't actually fulfill any requests right now. Yeah, we can see that it yielded, and then but we can see that the script never finished because it's checking every frame to see if each of these stats is known, and obviously that won't ever happen. Oh, I wanted to check to make sure the statistics were actually unknown. So we can see here for monster 0, yeah, all the stats are filled in like they should be. But then for monster 1, everything is not known because this checkbox isn't filled. Alright, and so now I'm trying to find the code that requests a stat from the server. Okay, right here. So what this does, it just requests for a stat from the server, and then it actually sends this response received message, but I don't think the code will actually need this. So it might be better if this class just goes ahead and inserts the correct value into the battle. Trying to make the monster moving. Yeah, well, that's the goal, but we're still a few steps away from that. Right now, I could show you. So, right now we choose the places for each of these monsters to move, and then the game sends the selections to the server, and then each player downloads all player selections, and now it's up to the game to sort which player moves first. But in order to do that, we need to get every monster's speed stat, and so we have to ask the server for that. And that's what I'm working on right now. Okay, so do I need this message? Maybe it would be better if there's some other class that handles, oh, I don't know. Let's see. I guess I'll be try and think ahead here and make a separate class in case this code gets more complicated later. It's not like having more classes slows the game down. So let's see, monster stat response updater. Alright, so this class will take basically the message from the server requester, which tells us when we receive a response from the server. Actually, yeah, this message, or this class won't even receive the responses. That would be a separate one, wouldn't it? Well, I guess it doesn't matter as long as we use this message. But anyway, we'll basically listen for messages when we receive a response from the server about a certain statistic, and then we'll actually set that value into the game data. So in order to do that, we need to subscribe to this correct message. Just copy and paste this to make sure I get it right. So on received response, I can go ahead and create the method down there. The last thing I need to do is just get the battle class. Oops. Alright. Okay, and the request has the monster index and then the stat name. But I guess I should actually send the stat index here, shouldn't I? You'd like to stay more, but you're in Egypt on your mobile, bad Wi-Fi. Oh wow. Yeah, no hard feelings, Chocopix. That's pretty late. Well, thanks for stopping by for a bit. I appreciate it. And have a good night. Alright. So on received response, what do we do here? Do I need to make sure we're in any correct state? I guess not really. I see a Chocopix. I guess I should make sure that this isn't gonna give an error. Right, so if the request monster index is greater than or equal to 0, and the monster index is less than battle monsters count, and the stat index is greater than or equal to 0. Okay, maybe I should make a separate class here, which is the stat response, and then we'd have the stat. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter that much. I was gonna say because the server will actually give us back the stat name, because statistic indexes aren't the same between every client because they're loaded from mods and we don't know exactly what order the files would be loaded in. So we have to send names over the internet. So, I mean, we'll receive a name back, but I guess whatever class receives that can just convert back to a stat request with an index here. It's no big deal, really. Alright, so now that we know all the indexes are okay. Now what should we do here if we receive a response from the server but we already know, but that statistic is known already? I guess we'd overwrite it. Actually, I don't know, that would probably that would be cause for an error. But it could also just happen because of latency. That's a good question. I guess we would just need to take whatever is most recent. Okay, yeah, so I think that'll be fine as long as we're not in the execution phase. So maybe I should make sure that we're in a certain turn phase. In the future, I think this class will actually be the class that receives a response directly from the server. So we might not even need some of this code, but I guess for now I'll just leave it how it is. Okay, so sub to variable int, and we want to get the turn phase. Okay, that's not good enough, is it? Oh yeah, it's actually, yeah, get variable int. Okay. Oh yeah, and this is not a claim. Okay, I just had everything wrong there. And the reason is because if the turn phase does not equal, or we need to make sure that we're in a specific phase, so I guess I'll do a switch here. Really, we just need to make sure that we're not in an execution phase, because that could mess everything up, because we're going to be messing with the stats ourselves, and so things could happen out of order. So we just got to be careful. Oops. sure we're in ordering or into turn effects ordering. Alright, so now after all that, it's set monsters. Okay, so even if a stat is known, we'll just override it at this point. What is it? Stats. Oh, I gotta get the monster index, of course. Stats. Safe set. And this safe set is just a helper function that it won't throw an error if, for example, this list is too small for this index. It will actually extend the list to encompass it. So statistic from float. Oh yeah, we actually, of course. We will need another class here. Well, I won't yeah, we're gonna need to change a lot of this code because this request doesn't actually contain the new value, which is kind of a problem. But for our testing, we can just set it to 0, and now it won't be unknown. And so this should be good enough to actually let the Lua code complete. So let's see, I need to add this class to the, I wanted to copy it, the subcontroller. Right, and now let's play the game and see what happens. Oh, we got an error. Oh, right. Yeah, we can just pass the stat index, we know that already. Alright. Okay, so now script shielded, no. Okay, so it's waiting right now. Okay, I think I need to have a little bit more debugging. Okay, I do subscribe to ticking. Oh, but I think I remember last night that I forgot to subscribe to, or what's it called, not subscribe. Yeah, register this function to update every frame. So I just need to type controller sub ticking. That should be good for now. Okay, so now this, yeah, what was happening is this function wasn't being called, so it wouldn't actually check anything. Yeah, we don't need this function. Oh, something else. Oh, okay. I already registered that, but we don't actually use it. Okay, and so now it got all the way through because we got the not implemented exception, like usual. So let's just check the frame count. So at 433, we got, we zoomed and then Lua yielded, and then we waited for about 18 frames, and then we called Lua script with a new return value. So everything looks good. Okay, so now we need to actually see. Right now Lua doesn't actually do anything with the return values, so we need to put the statistic object in here. So I want to keep these prints in here. And we'll add the return value, or actually just a stat. So this is mainly the the problem is we don't, well, we've created this class, let's see, Lua interface, yeah, we have the statistic class already, but I don't really have a good way to store them. The problem is that there's a whole lot of statistics, because monsters and boards can have them. I guess maybe the best way would be to actually store the objects in the Lua interface monster class. Even though there's not a super real reason to do it, but I guess that's fine. Alright. So let's just do that. I think it'll be easier. Especially for blocks, because blocks... yeah, right now the blocks are stored by their map, or position on the map. But whenever we move a block, the statistics move with it, so the statistics actually change their ID. We can worry about that in the future, but I think that's one reason why we should try and keep the stat classes with their specific objects. So stats, and then, oops, don't want to rename. No, I don't want to. So we'll basically have a few different ways to get to this class, I think. Yeah, actually, here we kind of need to somehow get a stat based on the string name of it. How do I want to do this? I guess we could have like this huge list of statistics, and then each monster and block would actually just have a list of indexes in the Lua object registry that correspond to them. That might work okay. It kind of seems a little confusing, but hi BitHunter, you've never used Lua before. Any recommendations on how to get into it? But it's actually pretty simple. I'm trying to remember, I found a good tutorial about it. It might have actually been just the official Lua documents, but how I learned it actually was writing add-ons for World of Warcraft that use Lua. It's a really fun language. So So I think I'll just go with... Why is this a dictionary? Oh, because it's like a cache. Could have used a list actually, but doesn't really make much difference here. So stat cache. You enjoy game development, and it seems like a pretty commonly used thing. Yeah, more and more people have been using Lua, especially since it's so easy to embed into Unity nowadays with Moonsharp and everything. I don't really like doing this. It seems overly complicated. Really sure a better way to do it. Okay, well I guess we'll just go with this. So we'll have a dictionary which will be string to int, or yeah, string to int, and it will be the stat map. So this will take the name of a statistic and give us the index in the Lua object registry for the actual stat class. Or, yeah, for the actual statistic object is what I meant to say. Okay, so public statistic get stat. Well, actually, I think I spell it out, don't I? So I should probably try and be, what's the word? Consistent. Alright, so int registry index, and then we'll just search in the stat map to see if we've created an object for this stat already. So if stat map try get value. So if this is false, then we need to request a new object from the Lua object registry, which we have a reference to. So int index equals registry new monster stat. And I guess this will pass ourselves to be the owner. Oh, I don't need to store a new variable for that actually. And then I need to insert this into the stat map. And then we'll return registries. I guess I need to make another function here, get statistic registry index. Although this will work a little different than the other ones because the other ones actually create the statistic object if it doesn't exist already. Yeah, but it's just a lot more complicated than the other objects we've tried to store in here already. So basically if X is greater than or equal. Oh no, we won't actually do that. It's just need to copy this part. And then if the stat cache cannot get the value, then we won't actually create a new one. We'd throw an error because the stat needs to be registered some other way. So throw. Let's see, I guess this would be an argument exception. Trying to get Lua interface stat object that does not exist. Maybe this should be yeah, this should never be called directly from Lua. Right, because here we always register, like if yeah, so here we're sure that we always call get statistic when the stat has been created, because that's the only time we actually register this index into our stat map. Yeah, so this should never be called by Lua, because it will actually, like this argument exception won't be handled by Lua, so it actually will cause the game to crash, which we want in this case because this should not happen. Alright, so now here is a little easier. So I guess the statistic, it needs to know like if it's a monster or a block statistic and then the index of its owner. I guess I should have none at the beginning. So we have owner type and then the int owner index and stat index, and then from there we can get the actual values. And this will need a reference to the Lua registry, as well as the battle. Yeah, so I wasn't sure if these classes have the ability to reference that game data. Okay, so this constructor is not supported. We want to have a better constructor here which includes all this information that we need. So the object registry, battle, owner type, the owner index, and the stat index. Okay, so now I just need to store all these values. As I said before, some of this stuff can change, but we don't want Lua to be able to change any of this. That's why oops. I want to have the value there. That's why all these values down here don't have setters. So, type that twice. My IntelliSense is not working with me tonight. There we go. Okay, so basically we just need to turn this owner type variable into a string. So if it's monster, oops, typing in all caps too soon. And then anything else, we'll just return an empty string. Why is it not like that? Oh, I have the, this is the same type as this, so it's getting confused. I really want Lua to be able to just call owner type, so I should rename this. I guess we'll say owner type enum. It's a little messy, but gets the job done. Okay, and then from the value, I'm gonna have to create a new dynamic value every time this is called, which is a bit of a shame. I guess if it's an issue, I can cache it, and then at the beginning of every turn, or whenever the value changes, I can recreate the dynamic value. But for now, I won't worry about it. As they always say, it's not good to try and optimize too early in development. So now I can do... It actually depends on which type of owner I have. Switch owner type. And since these indexes are supplied to us by the system, we can trust them. I'm not going to have to do a bunch of what's the word? A bunch of testing to see if the stat indexes are out of bounds, is what I was trying to say. So I don't need to do that, I just said. So let's have a helper function here. Create dynamic value from the statistic, but I want to use the game data statistic and not the Lua interface one. Alright, and then, so really the only reason I did this is because if the statistic is not known, then we want to return nil here. But if it is known, then we can return the float value. So return dynamic value new, it's not called float, it's new number. And also, sometimes we might want to store a statistic as a string, so but we don't support that yet, but we might in the future. Okay, so now I can just say return, create dynamic value from battle, monsters, owner index dot stat index. And if it's a block, create dynamic value paddle board block data owner index stats. Alright, and then default, if it's for some reason any other type, then we'll return dynamic value new nil. Okay, so now that's good. So this is easy. If first we gotta check if the owner type is actually a monster. Then we'll return the registry, get monster. Let's see. Stat index. Oh wait, no, it's owner index. return null. And then same thing here, except kind of do the opposite. Block. Oops. Alright. Now one thing I just realized is this Lua object registry is going to need to be called by some of the C# classes to create these statistic objects. So I think it might be a better idea if I call this a little differently. So I'll have the monster data index and then stat data index, because everything else is just using the data index instead of Lua indexes and string names, so I think I'll keep it like that. Alright, so if I guess we can just get monster first we need to actually get the monster class to make sure that it exists in here. Oh, do we really? Yeah, we do, because we have to register the stat object in the monster. Otherwise it might be a little decoupled, which could cause a problem. Alright, so if monster equals null, so if monster is null there, that means there is some problem. That means there is some problem creating this monster class. So we'll just return null for the entire thing. I thought I already created this. I guess not. And then this should be a statistic. Actually, yeah, this will work a little different. Let's see. Stat data index. So let's go ahead and fix these errors. Okay, so since we're doing it through a monster, we need to see if the monster already contains a link to a specific stat for this index. So this is actually going to be different. I think we'll still have the hash map of stat name to end. Because it's easy. Oh, actually, it's easier to convert from index to stat name instead of the other way around. Okay. And then why don't I just make this entire dictionary available to C#, so it doesn't need to be able to set it. Okay, so stat registry index, if monster stat map, Try get value stat data index to stat registry index is false, so we need to create a new object. Oh, I forgot the out keyword. So I guess I need to get the actual statistic object right here. Oops. Stat equals new. Okay, we need to pass ourself, the battle, the owner type is a monster here, index we have, and the stat data index. And then we'll insert this into the stat cache. Registry index equals stat. And then we need to insert this into the monster stat map as well. We go by the data index equals the registry index. Okay, and then we just return it. What's it complaining about? Well, actually, it would have always been assigned. Because if this returns false, we set the value here. And if it's true, then this gets set by try get value, but okay, if you insist, C#. So I don't know if I need this anymore, which would actually be nice. I guess maybe the monster will need it, because it will just have the actual index to the registry. Okay, so basically how we'll do it is instead of setting this up ourselves, yeah, the try get value is false. I need to convert the name into a stat index, and to do that I think I need the game database. Alright, so int stat index equals... Well, unfortunately I can't do it that simply, can I? If database stat name map try get value name out stat index. Right, so if this is false, we need to throw an error. And here we can throw an error for Lua, which is script runtime exception unregistered stat name. Alright, let's put some quotation marks in there. Always forget the new keyword when I throw an error. Format. Oops. Alright. Okay, and then we'll have statistic, stat. So I don't need to worry about setting this, because when I call this new monster stat, it will actually set everything up for me, so that makes it a little simpler. So actually return our data index and then the stat index. Right, so I can, yeah, and then if this is true, then we need to get the stat object just by looking up from the registry. So stat equals registry, get statistic, we have the registry index. Okay, and then the last thing I have to do is if the stat is null, then what would be the problem? Well, it shouldn't ever happen, because I think if it's null, that would mean that the monster doesn't exist, which doesn't make much sense because we already created the object here. But I guess we should just be careful. Okay, so return stat at the end, which will just say error getting stat for monster. Alright. I think that's it. So we've at least supported statistics for monsters, which is all I need for now. For blocks, I mean, it's not much different. So did I do everything here? Okay, yeah, so we can just return null here, I think, instead of throwing an error. Alright, so the last thing I need to do is actually create these objects for the async responses, which I think happens right here. So we call script, and the arg is just, yeah, right. So where do I create this Lua response? Okay, down here. So type, and then the stat, and this is what I need to do. So database. So where do I get the Lua registry? I forget. Oh, isn't it just a variable, I think? So variable, sub, Lua, object, registry. Okay, and I'm not using Lua interface yet, which is hard to believe, but controller get variable Lua registry. Oh, and one other thing I forgot to do is monsters now need access to the database, so I need to include that right here. We'll do that after the data index. So whenever I create a new monster class, I need to also pass the database, which is not hard to do, so no big deal. I don't know if I can actually type. It wouldn't be hard, that is. Okay, so now that I have the Lua registry down here where we create the asynchronous response, just type Lua registry dot get our monster? Oh, how come it's not showing up? Oh right, I need to type value, of course, because that's a variable. So get monster. Oh, did I make it private? Oh, it's new monster stat. Okay. I guess just to keep with values, I can just do it this way. Although that's true, I could, this monster, I could just type get monster stat instead of having to look up its own stat map. Yeah, this is equivalent actually, because get monster stat will look up at the stat map itself right here. Yes, that makes things even simpler. No problem there, I don't think. Let's see if the stat's already registered. So it gets the monster, and then it gets the stat right here. But if it's already registered, then none of this code runs, so it just returns it right there. Yeah, so that's perfect. Okay, so now, will it work? Okay, so the monster index. Oh, well, the problem is we don't know this yet until we get down here. Okay, well, it's not that hard to do. So Lua response dot statistic equals Lua registry dot value dot get monster stat. So Lua monster dot data index and stat index. Okay, and then what else do we need here in the asynchronous response? So we just set the type and the statistic. And this object will, it's just kind of a throwaway object, so we don't need to worry about it being registered anywhere. So I think we're all set up now. Let's look here. So we get the statistic. I guess I should make a better toString right here. Let's do it up closer. So return string format. Oh, we should probably switch depending on the owner type. Let's see, monster stat equals 1. And oh, actually I should have the monster name here too, shouldn't I? So let's scoot these values over 1. So so registry gets monster owner index dot toString, and then stat is just the stat name, which I don't actually know here, do I? Oh, I guess I should have a name field here, so game data, oops. Database equals database. So now I can have a public string name, and we'll just return database stat. Actually, is there an easy way to do that? Yeah, I don't think we have a way to look up index to name. It's only the other way around. Okay. I don't think this will be used that often, so I'm not going to worry about trying to make this easier. So for each variable pair and database stat. Oh, forgot the get. That's why it's not liking my syntax. So stat name map. So if pair dot value equals stat index, then we'll return the key. Otherwise, unknown. Did I spell that right? Didn't look right, capitalized, but I think that's fine. name, and the last thing is the value. Okay, so it's pretty much the same thing here, and then this would just be unknown stat. Which shouldn't ever exist, but we need to account for it. Okay, so now I think we'll get some good prints out. Okay, so there are some errors. Alright, I need to send the database there. And here, this is async request handler. Is this supposed to be? This should be the game data monster, I think. Are you happy, Lua? I mean, Unity? Okay, I guess it is because it's compiling right now. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we got an error. Let's look down and see what happened. Creating an async script, calling 0 with user data, requesting speed gold, and then Lua yielded, resuming script. Okay, and then Lua got monster gold stat speed. Let's look if that's correct. Well, speed's right here. I'm actually not sure what the index for speed is. It could be either one, but let's see, how would I find out? Okay, yeah, speed's the fourth one, so yeah, speed 2, alright, so that is correct. Cannot access field owner player of user data monster. Okay, I guess, let's see. Yeah, monster doesn't have the owner player field yet, so that's what the problem is. Okay, so public player owner player. So yeah, the monster doesn't really have a reference to that. We can figure it out though, I think. And player index. So for each variable game player and battle players. So we basically need to loop through each player and see if this monster is included in their team. That's how we can find out who the owner player is. So for each I guess I need to do it this way. Yes. Yeah, and I can actually do for each here because I need to know the index. It's kind of a pain. So p equals 0, less than battle players count. Alright, and then for each, I guess I can do this simpler. If battle players p dot team contains data index. Oop, why did it create so many extra curly braces? Alright, so if the team contains this monster, then we know that the player index is p. Come on. And we can break. Gosh, I can't type. So if player index is greater than or equal to 0, that means we found someone, so we can call alright, let's do it this way. So player equals registry get player. Otherwise, is null, I guess. Well, maybe I can do it easier. Set it to null there. Oops. And then if Lua player is null, then we'll throw a script runtime exception. And I don't really know how this would ever happen, but error getting player for monster. It really only happened if for some reason the monster got corrupted. Oops, sorry, knocking the mic. Okay, so that's all fine. Okay, let's try it one more time. Bad argument number 1 to table inserts. Table expected, not got user data. Alright, so I guess I needed to reverse the arguments here. Oh right, I need to add table insert order. Yeah, I want to insert player into the order. Alright, and I accidentally deleted this sorting function. Or not deleted, but left it commented out. So basically what we do here is we get every statistic and then we store the speed value for that statistic and yeah, for each player, and then we insert that player into this order list, and then we sort the list based on the speeds, so the higher speeds go in the beginning, and then we just return it at the end. So hopefully this should all work now. Of course, we have no way of knowing if it's correct yet because we don't actually look at the return value, but okay, so we actually got all the way through the script. Alright, yield complete. So why did it yield it twice? Okay, so it requested and then Lua yield speed. Yeah, it's like this waiting for responses, told it to go one more loop when it shouldn't have. So it yielded monster gold and then monster silver. So why does it do that? maybe, I guess let's just look and see. So where is it? Active track, so it waits for the requests. But then I think we do remove the request before we call the script. Or do we? We don't, do we? Yeah, I just set it to null, but we don't actually remove it from the list. That's kind of bad. Did I forget something? So when is it removed? Okay, remove it right here, which is check request ready. Okay, so when is that called? Okay, so that's only called here when we check at the beginning. Yeah, so that's what I forgot. I just need to remove this waiting for a request from the request list. So tracking, requests, remove, tracking. Oh wait, or do we already remove it? Oh no, because we only remove it. I guess we could remove it right here because it's still stored. But no, I think this is a little cleaner. The other way is not as intuitive. Okay, so let's check and see if it will work better now. Okay, so now it got all the way through again. And this time, yeah, requests, stat speed. I wish it would do the toString of the user data. There's probably a way it can get through, but... Okay, so then we yielded. And it resumed right away because we know the stats for the gold monster. And then here it had to wait a few frames. But then it yielded with monster stat speed. Okay, and then it actually completed. And then it moved on to trying to send it to the server, which we haven't implemented yet. Alright. Okay, now let's just keep on trying to do that. Okay, so good, we completely supported this script now. So I think I can safely delete this testing stuff up here. Okay, so one other thing I want to check. There's not a real easy way to do it. But I should test that if I actually pass request for silver monster, that it will show up. So let's just do something here. So print. This will be kind of nonsensical, but okay, so coroutine. Oops, I spelled that wrong. Yield request stat. So I'm just going to request the attack stat for the silver monster, and I want to get it right away. So that's why I'm going to yield the specific stat. and see if this code path works. Maybe I should do this after I already request the speeds though. So print coding yield request stat, args get selections 2, so it's the second selection, that's the second player. Monster and then attack. So we don't need a semicolon. So let's see if this works. So what should happen is that even though we requested the speeds first, since we actually passed this request object in the coroutine yield, it will give us attack first before speeds. I want to make sure that this code path also works. Okay, so there's an exception. Attempt to index a function value. Although requests, okay, yeah, so that's on the new code I just wrote at line 11. Oh, yeah, it should be get selections. Why did I wonder why it's get selections, not just selections as a list. Oh, because it's an enumerator. Oh, that's a bit annoying. I think I might be able to do it this way then. Select 2 args, get selections. Not sure if this will work. Only one way to find out, I guess. Attempt to index a nil value. Okay, so no, that does not work. Okay, so let's hack it, I guess. Local last monster. And then I'll just save, come on, last monster equals monster. And then this will be the second selection, obviously, because that's what set to last. So yeah, it's a little hacky, but it's the same thing. And since this is, excuse me, just for testing, I don't really mind too much. Throat's getting a little dry. Just alright, that's better. Okay, so now it did get all the way through. Let's look at the debug logs. So script 0 requested speed, and now script requested attack. Okay, so here we see it yielded a user data. And then it waits a bit and calls the script with the user data. Okay, and then we yield the async response, but it doesn't actually give us very good information. But I think it's okay. What I should have done is we'll get the statistic object. Okay, let's just try it one more time. Alright. So yeah, so here, yeah, monster silver, attack stat is 0, and yeah, that's fine. Fielding, so gold stat speed. Okay, cool. So everything is good now. Alright, so we still need to ask the server for unknown stats, but I'll wait to do that, I think, because in order to test that I need to get I'll need to create another client, which is not that difficult, but it does slow down testing, so I think we'll just do all that testing all at once when we finish actually bringing a turn all the way through. Alright, so now I want to test or start on actually dealing with the sorted list. And I think first let's change this back to having the real stats for both players. So now obviously we won't have to wait for any fake requests to the server. Right, so we can move that out for now. And I did that. I did that. We still need to go through and make sure this is all working. Oh yeah, so we'll need to do this, but let's do it later. Okay, this is next phase. Alright, so let's just look at the sorting list, because I think I can finish that up before the end of the stream. I guess I'll make sure the game still works. Okay, so now we can look in the game data and see that the silver monster now has actual statistics. And if we look here, we can see the silver has speed 1. Which will work great. Okay, and we can also get rid of this testing. Yeah, because that worked first time. I'm really proud of that. Alright, so it's the player sort Lua caller that takes care of this. So we get the return value from the script, and right now we just print it out in the debug, which just gives us this table. It's not that useful. Alright, so this will be our first time working with Lua tables in C#, and I don't think it's that difficult. Let's make... So we want to turn the table into a turn selection list. So I think I'll make another function to do that. Let's sort it. Equals return table to selection list. So let's return dot table. I guess I should make sure this is actually a table. Alright, so yeah, let's do that first. So if last return dot type is a table, then we can call this. Otherwise we'll need to throw a new error. Play exception, sort players function did not return a table. so first we can create a new value here. Alright, so I wonder, is there an easy way to find out how many values are in here? Collect dead keys, get... Okay, so there's a length. I wonder if this is in C# or Lua indexes. I guess there's only one way to find out. So for int I equals 0, I less than table length. Okay, so I think everything in here is a dynamic value, isn't it? Okay, so let's see. Get okay, what does this return? Yeah, dynamic value. Entry. And everything in here should be a player object, I think. So player, or I guess I should prepend it with an L, because it's a Lua interface player. So if entry dot type equals user data. Oops. Then L player should be the entry dot user data dot object as a Lua interface player. Right, and then if Lua player is null, then that means something is wrong here. So so string format, sort players, function returned a non-player object at position whatever. Okay, so now everything should be fine. I guess another thing we need to make sure is that there's not, for instance, like 2 entries for a single player. So to do that, so there doesn't have to be, well, I guess there needs to be an entry for every player that we have a selection for as well. So how would I model this easiest? So let's, I guess I'll just do int an array, and we'll basically keep count of the number of entries for every player. Entries per player. Another way we could do it is just have a list of players that need entries and a list of players that already have an entry. That's probably easier. Need entry list have entry alright, 10 minutes, I think I can finish it. So I don't actually keep around this list that was given to us. I guess I need to, don't I? So private selection list unsorted. Unsorted equals parameters dot list. Okay, so for each value and unsorted dot list or dot selections. So need entry dot add unsorted dot, oh wait, oh I forgot the name, selection. So we add the selection dot player index. And I think we'll already assume that there's not doubles in here. That should have been caught earlier. And then have entry is obviously null at this point. So if need entry contains Lua player dot, oh I can't get the index from here, can I? Oh yeah, this doesn't even include the player index. Data index, and then this should be hidden, and this should throw new not supported exception, and then we need to create a better constructor. For now all we need is the data index. So data index, so if this is false, then that means okay, yeah, so sort players function returned, or let's see, included entry for unneeded player. And then we'll do a toString for the player, which for now doesn't have any information, but that's fine. And then I guess if have entry is already contains, then we'll know that there's a duplicate. Included duplicate entry for player. Okay, so now we know that we can add. Okay, so have entry add Lua player dot data index and need entry add dot data index. And I also just need to have a list of the ordering for the indexes. Okay, so maybe we can do this a little better. So this, yeah, so this have entry is actually just the ordering, so ordering, and then need entry, we should maybe make this a dictionary from the player index to their actual selection in the selection list. Might as well get two birds with this data object. Okay, so what is here? Just is it called turn selection? Yeah. Okay, so then need entry dot selection dot player index equals selection. Okay, so if need entry dot, yeah, if it contains the key for this player, but or if it does not contain a key, then we know we don't need this player, and that the ordering already contains this player, then we know there's a duplicate. So that's good. Okay, and then at the end, all we have to do is create our new list. So we'll cycle through player index and ordering, and then we'll just selection list, selections, add from our unsorted selections. Oh well, no, that's not how we do it. We use the map here. What should I call this instead of need entry? I guess I'll just call it selection map. So that's the whole point of it, is that we could look up player selections by their index. And then we just return that. Okay. So that was basically it. So for testing, let's go ahead and print out each index as we add it to this ordering list. That way we can get a better idea of what's actually being added to the list. So debug, log. I guess I'll do a string format. String format. Let's change this real quick. Okay, so player selection sort. So number whatever is the player index, so number I is player index. Oh, we don't actually have that. It's just Lua player.data index, same thing. Okay, so hopefully it'll get through all these exceptions. If not, I might have to add a little bit more help, or like some more debug log, I mean. Okay, I stored that. And then when we go here, I should clear the unsorted just so that we don't have that object hanging around. Okay. Oh, problem. Oh, that's silly of me. I have a feeling there's going to be another error because I probably used the old constructor. Oh, actually, that wouldn't throw an error here. It'd only be when I actually call or run the game. So get player. Yeah, so we need to pass the data index right here. Alright, so let's see what happens now. Okay, return a non-player object at position 0. So that could be because the Lua tables are indexed starting at 1. I'm not sure how they do that. Let's assume it's like that. I mean, obviously in Lua they do start at 1, but I'm not sure if Moonsharp has them start at 0 or 1 when you interface with the Lua table in C# here. Now that I think about it, they probably still do use a 1 index just to keep things the same. Okay, so it got all the way through. So now it says player selection sort number 1 is 0. Okay, well there should be something else. At least it got all the way through, I guess. Actually, yeah, so since I start at 1, and there's 2 entries, I probably need to say less than or equal. And then here, Well, when I add the ordering, it's still in the right order, but I need to, just for this, well, I guess it doesn't really matter. I was gonna say, just for this debug, I should subtract 1 from I, but it's okay. It's so confusing. That's one of the only things I don't like about Lua. I should have just had it start at 0 like every other language. Oops, the music cut out. I hope I'm not disconnected. It looks like I'm still up. Okay, I don't know. We're almost done here anyway, so. Okay, so yeah, player selection sort number 1 is 0 and number 2 is 1, and let's look at this speeds and see if that's correct. Yeah, so the gold monster is faster at 2 and then silver monster is slower at 1. So if I go and change that by editing the mod files, let's change the speed to 3. Then the player 1 should go first. Oh, and it does, so yeah, the first player is 1, which is the silver monster, and the second to go is 0, which is gold monster. That's the opposite of before. Alright, cool. So, yeah, now the game is actually trying to send it to the server, but we have one more step. We need to ask the mod to, because right now the mod only has the selection information, so it's like player 0 selected this monster, the move ability, and this tile. So I need to convert those selections into a list of actual actions to take, which for us is really easy. It's just move this monster here. And then once we convert that, then we'll send that to the server, and everybody will download everyone's actions and check for cheating and all that. And then we'll finally be able to move this monster. But as you can see, we still have some other things to do here. I'm not sure when I'll do it. I think I did this already, didn't I? Yeah. I think there's no more testing code in here. Just gonna look real quick to see if I forgot something. Yeah, it looks like everything is fine, so yeah, I guess I did save that. Not sure what it was referring to, but whatever. And selections. So yeah, this is what I was just talking about. Okay, this I need to just go through the old Lua interfaces and add better error handling. So that's just kind of a side project. Yeah, of course we need to ask the server for stats, but as I said, we'll do that later. Let's move this down. Better play exceptions. Yeah, so basically every time, if there's ever an error, we throw these play exceptions, but right now they just throw a string, which isn't really that good. I should actually like throw an enumeration type, and then that way we can convert to the string at some other point, because these will need to be displayed to the player, so they'll need to be localized and everything. But it's not a super big deal to do, well, it's not urgent, I should say. And then this pathfinding we'll need to do pretty soon, and then these are just scripts that will run at the beginning of a turn and then before the first turn, in case mods need to do anything for that. So yeah, but I think we'll work on this next. So that way we can try and move the monster, and then I'll go back and fill these smaller projects. But I think that's all for tonight. So yeah, thanks everybody for coming by watching. I really appreciate it. I'll be live tomorrow sometime around 8 to 8:30 Eastern time. And we'll continue with this, probably working on converting selections into lists of actions, as I was just explaining. I have a new Discord, so if that interests you, you can type !Discord in chat, or I have a link in my channel description. And if you want to catch up on any streams that you might have missed, I will upload this to YouTube. You can find it the same way. Yeah, I hope to see you tomorrow. Thanks again for watching, and have a good night. Bye-bye.